Okay, today I'm going to show you how to transfer files from a remote Linux server to a local Windows machine using a program called WinSCP. WinSCP is a free open source file transfer program that lets you transfer files from a remote server to a local machine. So to start, we're going to click on our web browser and we're going to go to the WinSCP website, which is https://winscp.net. So this takes you to the WinSCP homepage, and what you want to do now is look for the most recent patch, which is usually the highest release number. The higher the release number, or the newer version, means that all the bug fixes that people have reported tend to be fixed, and there's usually a couple updates to the program as well. So once you've identified the most recent release, we'll go ahead to the download link. And once that opens up, we want to click on the installation package. This installation package kind of has everything that we need to install WinSCP onto our computers. And it's downloading right now in your bottom left corner an executable file. Basically, it's got everything that we need to run the install setup for WinSCP. So once that is done downloading, we'll double click on the executable, and we're going to provide any administrator credentials that we need to in order for WinSCP to run on our computer. So in this case, we want it to run, and we want to give it some access to our computer. What we want to do when we're downloading or installing WinSCP, is do a very basic default setup. So we're going to choose a default language, which is English, and we're going to click next because we know that we're downloading WinSCP. We're going to accept their general terms and agreements. And again, we're doing an express setup or a typical recommended setup. So we're going to go with default settings here. And we're also going to choose a default layout of how the interface will look. So we'll click next. And then once we're here, we'll press the install button. So it's a rather small program, nothing too resource heavy. And you'll see this little pop-up here. Now you probably won't get this window because you're downloading WinSCP for the first time. Myself, for example, I've had it multiple times, so it's just asking to import any previous settings that I've had. So I want to click no, and we want to launch WinSCP, so we're going to leave that little box checked off, and we're going to press finish. What it does is it opens up the login screen for WinSCP. Now there's a little bit of information that you have to put in here in order to get a session going. The first bit of information is your host name. This is the host name of your Linux server that you're on. Now everybody's going to have a different host name because everybody has a different Linux server. So for myself, for example, it's the one that I use at school, which happens to be this host name. We're going to leave the port number as a default 22, and we're also going to enter the username and password of the credentials that you need to get onto your Linux server. So my username is that, and we'll put in the password. Once we have everything, we're going to press the login button. So the login button will prompt you to let you know that you're connecting to a server. It might not be authenticated your first time, so you're going to say, yes, I know that's the server I'm looking to connect to, and continue. Once you successfully log into your session, it's called the session window. So everything to the right of this breaker bar here is on my Linux remote server. So these are all the folders and files that I have in my Linux machine. Everything to the left-hand side of this bar is everything that I have on my local Windows machine. So you'll see here, this is my documents. I can go to my desktop and see things there. So it kind of separates the two machines. So I made a folder here which is called WinSCP test, and let's put something in there to do a file transfer so I can show you guys. So we'll pick something random here. Assignments, oops. Let's go assignment 7. So let's say I want to transfer this assignment 7 file to my Windows machine. All you have to do is click and hold and drag it over to the folder that you want to drop it in. So in this case, I want to drop it to my WinSCP test folder that I've made for this video. I'm going to drop it in. Before you drop it, it's going to give you a little prompt window saying this is what you're transferring over. So I'm transferring over my assignment 7 text file from my Linux machine to this location on my Windows machine. So as long as everything's okay, go ahead and press OK, and it's been transferred. What we can do now is we can actually close the session window, accept that, and if I go to the folder that I made for this video, you'll see right there is my assignment 7 text file that I transferred from my Linux machine to the Windows machine using WinSCP. It's really good for anybody who works in a sysadmin role where you're dealing with multiple remote servers. If you want to get everything onto one machine so you can look at home when you're not necessarily at work, WinSCP is a great tool to use.